Sarah, whether or not you think that the NBA voters, the media voters got this right, do you think Klay's become underrated on this Warriors team?
I think that's an important distinction of whether or not he should have made the All-NBA team and whether you think he's underrated. I do think Klay Thompson is underrated. I think that there's, on so many occasions, unless he's just absolutely lighting it up from the three-point line or hitting in ways and putting in shots that we know he could do, it's such an extraordinary level. I think oftentimes we do underrate everything he does defensively, how he's able to take the pressure off Steph Curry and who he needs to guard. The fact that he could guard 1 through 4 and you could put him on a multitude of different players, the way in which he guards on ball, off ball, all those type of things. And how we talk so much about Steph Curry and how the offense for Golden State functions because of Steph and because of the gravity that he has. And I think much the same could be said about Klay Thompson. When it comes to the All-NBA team, with those ballots and with the way voters vote, there's only 6 parts. You need to vote for certain positions. So there's only 6 guards that you're essentially voting for. I also think, and I love what Klay said. I agree with him. They're going to their 5th straight finals. That's extraordinary. Those, though, are regular season honors.
Awards.
The award is for what happened throughout the duration of this previous regular season. And you probably, Bradley Beal probably could have a small argument. Kemba Walker, his numbers were better. Russell Westbrook's numbers were better than Klay's. So would I have been upset if Klay? No. Like, I think Klay had a great season. But I also think anytime you're saying someone should be on it, then
you've got to say who's going to be off it. Yeah. And it was Kemba, Beal, and Klay going for the last spot.
Yeah.
Just like it was LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake, and LeBron going for 2 of the last 2 spots. And LaMarcus got, you can say snubbed. I would say he just got left out of it. Now, here's the thing with Klay Thompson. There's, to me, a player that everyone knows in NBA history that's similar to him, not stylistically, but in the great unknown. And that player is James Worthy. And that is, I don't know if Klay is the luckiest guy in modern NBA or the unluckiest guy. And by that I mean, I don't know, and we won't know as long as he's on this team, if Klay is in the perfect role to maximize everything he can do, and if he was asked to go be Kemba Walker, he would fail. That's possible. Like, hey, because he's not a great dribbler. He's not there. There are parts of his game that appear to have major holes, and he never has to go into a game where he is the opposition's #1 threat. You are never scheming to stop Klay Thompson, your primary threat. Or is he unlucky in that, oh, he could do all these things. He could be a 30-point-a-game guy and just doesn't have the opportunity. We don't know that. We didn't know that about James Worthy either. James Worthy played with Kareem, and then later on he's playing with Magic, and he always had to be in that secondary role and took that secondary role into the Hall of Fame. And much like Klay, James Worthy has had some amazing playoff moments. Game 7 of the NBA Finals, big game James, like the triple-double. As long as you're on this team, there's going to be a level of unknown. We know with Kevin Durant, because he hasn't always been on this team. We don't know with Steph. We know that Steph can be the focal point of an offense, but we don't know how much Steph's offense, would he transform the Hornets into a version of the Warriors, or would he all of a sudden struggle on a team such as the Hornets? We don't know it, and that is if Klay re-signs with Golden State, as I think he will, he is making the choice. Winning is more important than the accolades, than potentially the money, or at the very least the credit of the best guy on a team, because he'll never be the best guy on the Warriors.
And there's always a sacrifice when you're on great teams. Out of their big 4 players, all of them are underrated. I believe Kevin Durant's underrated. When you evaluate him in his game, in his totality, he's underrated. Steph Curry, we see he's underrated because it's not forced out of him until Kevin Durant is out of the lineup that he gets the credit. Draymond, he will always be underrated as far as his playmaking, his defense, his intensity, what he brings to the workplace every day, how that helps Klay do his job, how it allows Steph to be able to do his job. And Draymond is a protector. You can't rough up Steph because Draymond and them will rough you up. So all of these Warriors, and Klay being included, they're all underrated. But in this season, what Klay did, he didn't have a great season. If you look at his numbers, he was not on point to when he made All-NBA. So when they decided all of them are going to come together, there is some sacrifices as far as roles. But I just believe they're so talented and they have so many other things covered that they will never get the type of evaluation of being like, Yes, there's going to be some mystery. There's always mystery. How good was Scottie Pippen if he would have been on the Bulls by himself? There's always some mystery when you have greatness there.
I will say this, though, with Klay and his numbers, he had a horrific start to the season and how he shot from the three-point line.
He had some
and just
stretches
even in
throughout
general.
that were pretty horrific, too.
But think about the fact he still shot over 40% from three. So you have a guy that struggled mightily from the three-point line.
Expectations.
And still, so those expectations, I also think, to your point of saying about he just wants to win, there's something to be said for the value of a player that is as low maintenance
his
as
personality.
And his personality.
The chemistry.
Steph's, all of those things add to what a championship-level team is, and you can't put a number on that. You can't put a quantity on that. That makes a difference with a group.
But when you're voting for someone for an all-NBA first team, second team, third team, what is it based on besides just the numbers? Because all those variables, all those factors don't factor in.
Your performance in that, the way it should be, your performance in that singular regular season, not a lifetime achievement award, and not
how you get along, not your chemistry.
Well, no. I think I do think that has to do with your performance that season. I think if you're I think Boogie Cousins had some tough times in Sacramento.
You could lose some votes
because he was a negative to his team.
Okay.
I think, which is why Klay's numbers say it shouldn't have been close. That Beal and Kimba were way better. So the fact that he was close is because we know he's sacrificing some, we know what he does defensively, and we know how important he is to the cohesiveness of the team. But it was the worst three-point percentage he's had since he's been Klay Thompson. Worst field goal percentage since we've known him as Klay Thompson.
Well, and I think, and a lot of people would say, oh, but look at the wins. Well, Bradley Beal and Kemba Walker are two players that dramatically changed how the team. Every one of the 38 wins of the Charlotte Hornets were pretty much because of Kemba Walker. The same thing for Washington was an absolute mess this season, and the reason they had 32 wins or whatever point they hit was because of Bradley Beal. So it's also, you kind of got to level it out in a way of which who they're playing with and how much impact they're having on the win.
And I think people feel like the Warriors underachieved in the regular season.
Yeah.
If they won 67 instead of 57, he's on the team. Like they calculated themselves in the regular season. I mean, he's going to have to take this haircut. You can't get everything now. Like, it's tough. You can't have it all. And there's one thing Klay's not going to get this year.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.